It was 2:17 a.m. when the radio crackled in the empty dispatch room of Logan County. The night shift had been quiet for hours, save for the low hum of fluorescent lights, the occasional beep of a terminal, and the faint rattle of a window shaking in a wind that seemed too sharp for the season. Sergeant Collins had worked these shifts for 12 years and had long learned to trust his instincts. Tonight, every instinct screamed that something was off. The first call came from a routine motorist on Highway 47. "Dispatch, I think there's someone following me." The voice crackled, panicked and breathless. Collins leaned forward. "Stay calm, sir. Describe the vehicle." "It's dark. No lights. Just there. Every time I check my mirrors, it's there. But it shouldn't be." He switched to the traffic cameras along the stretch. Nothing. Not a single vehicle matched the description. Yet, the caller's fear was tangible, sharp enough to cut through the mundane rhythm of the night. Collins had learned to read that kind of terror, the one that came from realized helplessness. Minutes later, a minor accident call arrived a few miles north. Officer Daniels responded, leaving Collins alone in the dim dispatch room. The low buzz of monitors, the faint hiss of the air vents, and the distant rumble of trucks on the highway filled the silence. Then the radio crackled again. "Dispatch, can anyone hear me?" The voice was hesitant, unfamiliar. Collins frowned. "Go ahead. State your location." Only static answered, stretching longer than any technical glitch would allow. Then came the words. I don't know where I am. The road, it's changing." His stomach tightened. He had handled lost drivers before, but this was different. This wasn't confusion. It was terror. Collins jotted coordinates, checked unit availability, cross-referenced cameras. Highway 47 was a straight road. At 2:35 a.m., it was completely empty. Another call came moments later. This time, the voice wasn't from a motorist. It was directly into the radio, whispered as if the signal itself had been hijacked. "Help me, please, don't look behind you." Collins froze. He scanned the camera feeds. Every monitor flickered into static. Blackness replaced the stretches of asphalt he'd just checked. It was deliberate, not a technical failure. He reached for the call logs. A name appeared. The voice belonged to someone who had died 3 months prior. A young driver, lost in a single-car crash on the same highway. The case had been closed as a tragic accident. Yet here it was alive, calling him. Or pretending to. Collins called for backup. By the time officers arrived, the room was eerily still. The cameras returned, the monitors normal, but the sense of being watched lingered, thick as fog. They drove to the coordinates, finding nothing. No vehicles, no tire marks, not even signs of recent passage. It was as if the asphalt itself had swallowed everything. Collins' thoughts wandered. He remembered past reports from this stretch. Tales of drivers vanishing, mysterious vehicle sightings, phantom calls reported by dispatchers dating back decades. Patterns never investigated, chalked up to fatigue or overactive imaginations. But he had always believed these stories, the same way sailors believe the ocean's whispers. The calls didn't end that night. More motorist reports trickled in, lights appearing and disappearing, shadows crossing the highway at impossible speeds, radios picking up voices on static frequencies, sometimes repeating exact words from past accidents. Collins' fingers trembled as he logged each incident, his mind wrestling with reason and impossibility. At 3:14 a.m., a new call came from a trembling man in a delivery truck. "Dispatch, something's in the road. It's walking." Collins barely held the mic steady. "Can you describe it?" The voice broke. "No, it's moving slowly but wrong. Limbs all wrong. Head too high, don't." Static swallowed the end of the sentence. Collins felt sweat prickling his neck. The hum of monitors seemed louder now, more insistent, as though the room itself was alive and listening. He knew the dispatcher's mantra, remain calm. But calm was a thin veneer stretched over terror. By 4:02 a.m., the night was heavy. The phone lines crackled with faint, nearly incomprehensible whispers. Collins thought he recognized some. Voices from accidents decades ago, people long gone. The pattern was clear. Highway 47 had memory, and some nights, it spoke through the lost and the dead. Weeks later, he would learn that other dispatchers along isolated highways reported similar occurrences. Phantom calls from drivers who never existed, vehicles that didn't appear in any record, voices tied to closed or unsolved cases. None of it was ever explained. Collins never took the night shift again. But sometimes he swore he could hear the whispers on his home radio, low static hums cutting through silence. Don't look behind you. Even now, when the sun sets and the highway grows quiet, there's a faint memory of that night. Monitors flickering, static whispers, a road that remembered every accident, every lost soul. And Collins knew, with a gnawing certainty, that the road had its own way of reaching out, patient, persistent, and waiting. CTA placement, 2 to 3 minutes into story. Glancing at the monitors, Collins muttered, almost to himself, "Subscribe for more chilling tales if you dare." No one heard him, but something on the other side of the static did. I've worked for the Utah Highway Patrol for almost 9 years. Most nights are quiet, too quiet sometimes. You learn to live with the hum of the cruiser and the faint hiss of the radio. But every now and then, something happens that makes you wish for boredom again. This report isn't official. What you're about to hear never made it into the system, because when I tried to upload the dashcam footage, the file corrupted. 3 separate attempts. Each time, the video would stop at 2:14 a.m., right before the thing walked into the headlights. It started like any other call. Dispatched to investigate an abandoned sedan on Route 47, same stretch where that dispatcher Collins used to work before he quit. I didn't know him personally, but the older guys talk about him sometimes. Say he heard things through the radio that messed him up. I didn't believe it. Not until that night. The sedan was parked half off the shoulder, hazards blinking weakly through the fog. No driver, doors locked. When I ran the plates, the return froze my screen. System error, blank owner field, no VIN match. Never seen that before. I remember glancing at the clock. 2:08 a.m. I radioed dispatch. Static. No reply. So I grabbed my flashlight and body cam, stepped out into the cold. The air had that metallic taste, like ozone before a storm. The sound of insects had stopped. That's the first sign, I think now. The world goes quiet before it shows itself. Inside the car, the seats were soaked, like someone had driven through heavy rain, though the pavement was bone dry. The engine ticked softly, cooling. A phone sat on the dashboard, screen cracked, camera app open. It was recording. When I picked it up, the live preview flickered, showing me. Then the empty seat beside me. Then, something else. A shape, sitting in the passenger side, only visible through the phone's lens. Long fingers pressed against the glass. I dropped it, cursed, aimed my flashlight. Nothing there. The light caught the trees beyond, fog twisting between the trunks like smoke. I told myself fatigue was getting to me. Too much caffeine. Too many graveyard shifts. But then the dash cam and my cruiser beeped, motion detected. I turned, and in the grainy glow of the headlights, someone stood behind the sedan. Highway Patrol. Identify yourself. They didn't move. Didn't even flinch. Just stared, head tilted slightly, the way a confused child studies an insect. The reflection from their eyes was wrong. No color. Just dull, white-like light bouncing off glass. I blinked, and they were gone. Not ran gone. The fog swallowed everything. When I reached my car, the radio came alive with overlapping voices, dispatch codes, random numbers, even my own call sign repeated backwards. That's when I realized the recording light on my dashcam was still blinking red. I left. Didn't even file a full scene report. Just drove until I hit the city limits. The static followed me for miles. Later that morning, I went to back up the footage. Each file was exactly 14 minutes, 22 seconds long. Each ended with the same frame. Me in the cruiser, looking toward the passenger seat. And behind me, reflected faintly in the side mirror, that figure standing on the road again, closer this time. I showed it to my lieutenant. He called IT. They tried to pull metadata. The footage wouldn't play on any other system. The timestamp looped endlessly, 2:14 a.m. That night, while I was home reviewing paperwork, my dashcam turned itself on. No keys in the ignition, no external power. The red light blinked once, twice. Then the screen displayed a single word, return. I unplugged it, tossed it into the evidence locker the next morning. 2 days later, the tech who logged it quit, said the device powered itself during inspection, whispering radio chatter that spelled his name. I don't know what's on that road. Maybe Collins heard it first. Maybe it uses our systems to talk, jumping through frequencies, files, cameras, anything that listens. I still get calls routed to my line, sometimes from unlisted numbers. When I answer, all I hear is breathing and faint highway noise. And if I wait long enough, a distorted version of my own voice says, "Don't look behind you." For the Utah Highway Patrol for almost 9. If you're still listening, take a second to subscribe for more chilling tales, because some of these recordings shouldn't exist. Since that night, I've transferred divisions, but the new dashcam logs still show motion alerts at exactly 2:14 a.m., even when my car is parked inside the garage. I stopped checking them, but sometimes, when I pass the evidence room, I swear I can hear that faint red light clicking on again. Maybe it's waiting for someone else to watch. There's a 2-mile stretch of Highway 212 outside of Helena, Montana, where accidents happen for no reason. Locals call the Silent Mile. No cell service. No houses nearby. Just black hills, sagebrush, and a wind that sounds like it's whispering when you drive through at night. In September of 2019, a trooper named Alan Reeves found a wrecked pickup in the drainage ditch there. It was 3:23 a.m. He radioed in, voice calm, professional, like every other scene he'd worked. But what happened next, what he saw inside that truck, never made it into any official report. The dashcam caught most of it, but half the footage was corrupted when evidence tried to process it. The part that survived is what you're about to hear, and the rest comes from Reeves himself before he stopped talking altogether. He'd said the headlights of the wreck were still on when he arrived. The truck was idling, one wheel spinning slowly in the dirt. The driver's door was open, the interior light flickering. At first glance, no sign of anyone around. But as Reeves stepped closer, he realized someone was still there. A man sat in the driver's seat, slumped forward, face pressed to the steering wheel. Except when Reeves reached the door and pulled it open. The man looked up. He was alive. Barely. His mouth opened like he was trying to say something, but no sound came out. Then Reeves noticed the man's eyes. They weren't reflecting the flashlight beam the way they should have. They were completely black. The body cam caught Reeves saying, "Sir, can you hear me? Are you hurt?" And then silence. The man's head tilted back, jaw trembling, and a voice not as came from somewhere behind the patrol car's mic. A whisper, recorded faintly on the dash audio. It said, "Help me get back." Dispatch didn't hear it live. Only the recorder picked it up. Reeves thought maybe it was a radio glitch. He stepped back, trying to get a signal. The man in the truck began to move slowly, turning his head toward Reeves, those dark eyes locking on him in the beam of the flashlight. Then, right before Reeves could call for backup, the truck's engine stopped on its own. The headlights went out. The entire scene fell into pitch black. A few seconds later, the flashlight flickered. The camera caught movement behind the truck, something crawling out of the ditch. Not fast, not animal-like. Slow, deliberate. A figure covered in dirt, dragging itself upright. When the lights steadied again, both the man in the truck and the thing outside were gone. Just tire marks leading nowhere, and a single bare footprint, human, pointing toward the patrol car. Reeves got back inside, locked the doors, and tried the ignition. The car wouldn't start. The radio spat white noise. And buried in the static, his own voice whispered through the speaker, "You shouldn't have stopped." He sat there until dawn, when another unit finally found him. The cruiser was running fine. No sign of the wrecked truck. No sign of the driver. The only evidence was a small smear of dirt on the inside of the passenger window, like someone had pressed their hand there from outside. Weeks later, Reeves quit the force. Said he couldn't sleep. Said every time he closed his eyes, he saw that man's black reflection staring back from his bathroom mirror. His wife reported that he started talking in his sleep, repeating that same phrase the recorder picked up, "Help me get back." Then, on December 12th, his house burned down. Investigators found no body, just his badge, melted into the tile. And something else. A set of bare footprints leading away from the ashes, straight toward the same direction as the Silent Mile. If you're hearing this and you drive that stretch of highway, do yourself a favor. Don't stop for stranded cars. And subscribe for more chilling true stories like this one, before someone else's voice comes through your radio tonight. The footage from Reeves' dashcam remains locked in evidence storage, labeled unviewable. But officers who've transferred into that precinct swear the timestamp keeps changing, updating automatically every year at exactly 3:23 a.m. And one deputy said that, when he walked past the evidence locker last month, he heard the faint sound of an idling truck, engine turning, headlights flashing once through the slats. He didn't stay to check. He just kept walking fast and prayed that, whatever Reeves saw out there on the Silent Mile, it stayed in the ditch where it belonged.